Welcome to the Sharpe Way. It is Monday evening, which means it is by default, it is Ask Me Anything Monday. Yes, it is. I'm here yet again, chatting with you all, allowing you guys to ask me whatever you want, and I will try my best to answer. Not always I can, but I try to the best of my ability. Please, guys, like, comment, share, let everyone know that I am out here doing this. If they want to ask their questions, make their comments, I'm happy to answer them also. As I always ask you every time, please go over to the Sharpe Way Facebook page and like that damn thing. It matters. Head on over to my YouTube page, the Sharpe Way YouTube page, and subscribe. It matters. And of course, follow me on Twitter, Sharpe Way. All of these things are important. If you've got some cash on you, if you're doing well right now and you're not being crushed by the COVID piece, then head on over to patreon.com/SharpeWay. Throw me 10, 15, 20 bucks so I can keep doing this. It does matter. If you don't have the cash, no worries. Like, comment, and share is free. It is free, and we can do it to make sure that we still move around and make sure that things happen. So, yeah, I think today I'm going to start this, if I can, with something that I think is an interesting outlook. And that is, as I was watching a lot of people talk about all the problems we're going to have in the future, people are going to be lacking food or lacking jobs or lacking money or lacking medicine or all those things that I've heard that people are starting to realize how bad this is going to be since they've shut the economy down. What's going to happen? What I hear often is immediately, well, the government will provide, the government will provide. And when you ask people who are in the government, you ask governors or mayors or congress people, assembly people, executives, whatever that is, county executives, what you'll often find is they talk about programs. We'll have a program for this, a program for that. And initially it bothered me when I first heard it, thinking, well, what's wrong with these people? Why do they keep doing this? And I realized they actually just don't know any better. Many of them actually want to help. They really do. They think that this is the way to assist. They believe they're actually helping. There isn't a negative or evil intent. Well, some obviously there are. But for most of them, they think this is the only way to help. If people don't have something, well, the government has to, solve it. The government has to provide. And they go out of their way to do that. It's what I've been talking about for years now. As we've added government, we have removed community. And the idea of a community being empowered to assist itself, being empowered to step up on its own, that concept for many of these people doesn't even exist. They've been blinded by their ideology that they wouldn't even imagine. Instead of creating a program that gives stuff, instead creating an environment where we can create stuff. The idea of teaching a person to fish doesn't exist. It's all about give them a fish. That's all there is. And I used to get a bit more angry about that. I don't get as angry anymore. And today was important for me, last couple of days, I should say today, last couple of days when I was watching almost every single politician think exactly the same way. We'll create a program. We'll fund this. We'll fund that. Everything is about let me give you a fish. Nothing is about let me teach you how to fish. That doesn't seem to exist. That's a problem. This is the core, I think, of our issue right now. The issue is we're not even imagining that we should be helping people to fish. If we do, what we do is we'll have a program to train you how to fish. Not even realizing that there's a bunch of people who already know how to fish in our communities. You don't really have to have a program to teach people how to fish. Lots of people already know how to fish. If you just create an environment that will allow people to fish, that will allow people to teach others how to fish, that would kind of change things. That's what I really saw these last couple of days. So what am I asking you then, right? I'm asking you not to change your thought process at all, at all. I'm asking you to maybe not be so angry. And many of us are really angry. I don't really want us to be so angry. I want us to still, obviously still, we don't want the government to take over everything. I get that. But understand that the majority of people who are in the government right now, they actually believe that this is the only way. Their intent is good. That's my issue. The intent is good. The outcome, not so good. The overall, not so good. So this is what I want to start thinking about, if we could instead, that maybe we shouldn't be so angry. Maybe instead we should start thinking about changing their intent, joining with what they want. They want us all to eat some fish. They want to give us a fish. I want them to allow us to fish and to learn how to fish and to teach others to fish so that we don't need them as much anymore. Again, remember, my goal is to make government much more like the fire department, right? Everybody likes the fire department. We all love the firemen, right? The women love the calendars. So yes, some men do love the calendars too. Sorry, be very clear. Some men also love the calendars. They love the calendars. Absolutely. They love the firemen. I love that. Awesome. So what does that mean? That means when I need you and I call you, you come, because I'm asking you, come on in. I need you, government. Come on in. And when I don't call you and I don't need you, you just provide me with some nice safety tips on how I can be better. Love that. If we were more like that, we'd have an amazing way of doing things. All right. So let me ask some questions. When will you become governor of New York? I hope 2023 January. That would be nice. But I don't know, Daniel. I don't actually know. Obviously, if things make the most sense for me, I would run again in 2022. If not, then I wouldn't. But if I would have run in 2022 and if I win, I would take office in 2023. So I would hope it'll be 2023 in January. That is my hope. I hope I answered your question. So, all right. I feel like our first past the post voting system is what holds all third parties back, mainly because of the spoiler effects, and that a ranked voting system will go a long way in any two-party control. I agree, Frank. I think it's right. I'm a big fan of this. And actually, you may or may not know this. In New York City, we already have ranked choice voting. I believe it's only for the primaries right now, but it's a test. And certain of the states, someone's going to correct me, but I think it's Maine. Already has ranked choice voting. So this system that's already happening. And they did that. You never hear libertarians talk about it. You're not paying attention. We talk about it all the time. And I mean all the time. Every single libertarian convention has someone talking about ranked choice voting or some other form of non-first past the post voting. It's all the time, Frank. You're not paying attention, brother. I love you. I'm glad you're watching. Pay attention, man, because they are absolutely talking about this all the time. I do too, right? Ranked choice voting is not perfect. There are problems with it. But compared to what we have, I'm in, right? If that's the way we get people to think differently about voting, most people, if you ask most Americans, they can't even imagine any other form of voting. This is the way you do it. What else could there be? They can't even imagine it. So for us to just get ranked choice voting as a concept, just to get people thinking about it, would be amazing. I mean, there's many ways of doing it. I'm with you, Frank. All I'm saying is we do talk about it. We absolutely do. So I'll get Jim Graham on my show. Sure, he's on shows all the time. He's on tons of shows. Those of you who care, head over to Gray Sharpe 2020 if you like. Go ahead and enjoy. You can also go to judgejimgray.com. All kind of cool stuff about Judge Jim Gray. For those you don't know, he is running for president for the nomination of Libertarian Party. So, yes, and I'm running for the VP. So, thank you. I appreciate that, Joe. On board. Thank you. People say they want me to run for POTUS. I appreciate that. They've been saying that for a while. And let me be very clear about why I didn't. I've said it before, but sometimes people want to hear it again. If I actually wanted to run for president, I would have started running about a year ago, maybe 8 months ago, 9 months ago. I started running last year for sure, for me to make this happen. When I run for office, I basically make it a full-time job. I'm not the kind of person that many people do, not me. I'm not the guy who has a regular job and then goes and runs. When I ran for governor, I took a year and a half off, no salary, wasn't working, just did that for a year and a half. So imagine if you were to go a year and a half without a salary. In fact, thanks to COVID, some of us might, without going for a year and a half without salary, imagine what your finances would look like. Well, mine looked like that when I was done. So I had to get back to work and start making some more money. So I was not thinking about running for president because I just couldn't do it. And I'm not the kind of person who wants to just run just to run. It's not who I am. People say, oh, he's a celebritarian. People just don't know me to think I'm one of those. I'm not. I don't run just to run. It's not a vanity run for me. It's a run where I think I can make impact. If I think I can make some impact, then I run because I'm asking for your money and your time and your energy. So I'm a business guy. I'm not going to ask for your money, time, and energy if I'm not going to give you something of value in return. So I didn't think I could do that, and a POTUS run for me was just too much. For the VP, I can do it. As a VP, I'm heavily support staff, right? This is really about Judge Jim Gray. It's about him becoming the president more than anything else. I'm much more support staff. I'm the hype man. I don't mind being that. I was for Gary Johnson in 2016. I was his hype man when he asked me to be his hype man. I'm happy to do it again. And now I'm going to do it for Judge Jim Gray. Happy to do it. So I hope I at least answered your question. Maybe I will. I haven't taken it apart. Maybe 2024, 2028. It's out there. I'm not going to say I wouldn't. Just not this year. I was always saying I wouldn't run for president this year. So that's why I'm just not going to do it. It's a thing I don't think I should do. So I'm not. I hope that at least answers your question at least. So, all right. Let's see if I can find one. Hi, how are you doing? Yes. And yes, Brandon, you know what? As funny as that sounds, it's true. In many cases, the people who are hammering us and hurting us actually aren't trying to do that. And if we talk to them and if we express that we want the same things, that we can get there in a different manner, a lot of them come our way. And Brennan, you were on a campaign with me when I was running for governor. You were right there with me, brother. You know it, right? When we were out there talking to people, a lot of people said, oh, I thought you didn't want what I wanted. They didn't say those words, but that's what came out. They were like, wait a minute, I can't believe it. In reality, you want a similar thing. We can just get it in a different way. And I think that's how we convert people to the liberty movement, is by not saying you're bad or you're wrong or you're evil. Don't get me wrong. Some are. The vast majority aren't. The vast majority are trying to do the right thing. They're just wrong. And they believe, I wouldn't just say wrong. They believe there's no other answer but that answer. They think the only possible answer is government control, centralized control, and someone come from the top down and saying, here's how I'm going to fix you. They can't imagine anything else. We have to show them. We have lots of work to do, and I hope with this campaign we can do more. So, yes, indeed it is. Good intentions, 100%. The road to hell is absolutely paid for that, of course, 100%. Thank you. I'm glad the Levesque family loves me. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that. Absolutely. Yes. So it's hard to not get angry or annoyed when our supporters blame D's in Congress for passing $2 trillion in spending. I call them out by saying our POTUS and our majority Senate also passed and signed it. This becomes one of our biggest issues, which is why if you notice when I'm talking, it is very rare, Joe. You're right. It's very rare for me to just attack one side. I will sometimes when it's obvious, but very often I'll attack both sides. And I'll attack policy versus individual because people like their guy or gal. They just do, right? If you voted for this person and she's your awesome Republican senator or awesome Republican congressperson, you voted for her because you can't stand the Democrat, or you voted for a Democrat and you voted for him because you can't stand the Republican, or whatever that is, you're invested in that, right? You're invested. You're just human. You're invested in that. And I start going, that person, she's evil, he's evil. You start going, Larry Sharpe, shut up. I don't want to talk to you about it. I don't want to hear you. So it is hard, Joe. At the same time, this is hard to do. We're a third party. We're the third party. There's no other third party, really. We're the third party. We're the only way that we can get around the duopoly. And we have to be better. It's totally not fair. I mean, it's completely not fair and still true, right? Still true. Yeah. So Ezra says, oil prices now officially in the negatives. We're going to show the economy. There won't be a country to come back to. Ezra, this is a worry. I don't think it's the end of the world yet. Luckily, I was talking to some of my policy guys. The advantage of running for governor 2 years ago is a lot of my policy people still keep in contact with me. A lot of my team is still in contact with me. they're still in my world and they hover around me often in different ways. Usually some form of social media. Sometimes when I'm out running about, they pop up. Like when I go out to events upstate, often Brandon will come out and say hi to me. So my team tends to be around me in many ways. And we were talking about the oil prices today, actually. And, they're not actually in the negatives yet. What actually happened is this was a market issue with people buying futures, right? So there was a point to where literally these guys are buying the rights to have oil, right, in futures. And they said they would rather pay for someone else to take their oil versus them having to deliver the oil to someplace where they can't take the oil. Literally, people who are buying these futures can't physically take the oil. Like they don't have a facility. So either someone's going to deliver, truckloads of oil or whatever, however you deliver oil, I guess, trucks, is that what you do? Whatever, truckloads or barrels of oil to their front yard, right? That's option one. Or they pay someone to just keep it. And that's why it was in the negatives, because they were paying someone to keep. They're basically paying off their contract. That's why there were negatives. In reality, the oil prices are very low. I think they're in their 20s or 30s. They're not actually negatives yet. But, Ezra, valid point, right? Valid point. It is a problem. But again, if oil prices go that low, it doesn't necessarily destroy our economy anymore, right? Remember, America, it exports. And so we're pretty much okay when it comes to energy. So when it comes to energy, we're fine. Oil will be a problem, right? Many of you know oil is used for many more things than just energy, right? Plastics, fertilizers, some types of clothing industry, all kind of stuff, right? It's used for many different things. So the energy-wise, Ezra, we're going to be okay, which is the most critical part of our economy is the energy piece. So I don't know if the low oil prices will actually destroy the economy. I don't think so. It's just another punch in the stomach. That's for sure. And they keep punching us in the stomach. This is another punch in the stomach. But I don't think this is necessarily going to destroy the country. I think we can come back from this. And I think what's going to happen is the government will buy a bunch of the oil, right? So either the Trump will say, let's make the crude oil reserves larger, and they'll build larger facilities to buy it from these small companies, or the Chinese will do it, right? They'll build out a larger reserve so they can buy more stuff. Remember, the Chinese, they actually need to import energy, right? They're not energy sufficient like we are. So they have to import oil. They have no choice. They have to. So as they're importing oil, they're going to have a larger reserve in case something goes wrong. Cheap oil prices, Chinese are happy as can be. Yeah, baby. Bring it on in. They're happy. They're making plastic stuff all day long. They're making all kind of stuff out of oil. They're moving stuff with their trucks all day long, shipping. Happy to have it. So the Chinese are happy that it's low, right? It's the Russians and the Saudis who are getting their asses kicked right now. America a little bit too, but most of us is because of debt. Many people don't realize that a lot of the smaller oil companies, even the larger ones, they're all in debt. And they're all in debt from the crash that happened in the early, about 5-6 years ago. There was another crash, and they all went into debt because of that. Thankfully, my team was able to talk to me about this and brief me, had a long conversation on this piece, right? They actually are in debt right now. So now this comes, and they're deeper in debt. So they got to keep. We've become very much like almost like an undeveloped country. It's going to sound crazy, right? Whenever any country that tends to be more backward or more undeveloped, and I mean this economically when I say that, economically backward, undeveloped, tends to spend a lot of its time getting stuff from the ground, right? Either oil or trees or diamonds or iron ore, right? The major part of their economy comes out of the ground, right? America, that's not a major part of our economy. We're heavily a service, tech industry. We're not at that world, right? That's part of our economy, but isn't the biggest part. When it comes to those types of economies, the market crushes them, right? If you're in for example, some country in South America, Brazil, say, but some country in South America that exports lumber, as an example, and the market goes down, so the price for lumber is less. Well, the guys and gals who own the trees and the lumber farms, are they lumber farms? Whatever you call the forest they chop down, the areas where they chop down the trees, where those people own that, they now have to chop down more trees to make the same amount of money so they can pay their debts. Well, as they chop down more trees, they put more trees in the market, lowering the price of trees. So they have to chop more trees, putting more trees in the market. lowering the price of trees. And you see what happens. That's what's basically happening in the oil market. That concept, right? That you keep, your fixed costs are the same. You've got to pay your debt or pay your bills or pay your rent. The market going up and down doesn't change how much you got to pay. So that's what's happening in the oil market now. Eventually, it has to turn around eventually, or oil just won't be that valuable anymore. We'll be using other things, natural gas or insert thing here. So thank you, Ezra, for that. But I don't think that's the critical piece. It is important. It is a problem. So how can we protect our rights in the current situation? Just by using our voices. That's it. That's it. The problem is most people right now in America, and you see it, most are like, yeah, take our rights. I'm scared. If you've been paying attention to me, I say it often. All the time I say it. People who are afraid make bad decisions. Individually or as a group. It doesn't matter. They make bad decisions, right? It's a common problem in humanity. Right now, same thing. We're afraid. Take our rights. We don't need them. All we care about is not being afraid. Take them. We have to stop doing that and start instead saying what matters to us. Just talking about our rights. Just telling your friends. I'm not joking, Amber. Just telling your friends, don't you care about your own freedom? Aren't you concerned? They'll be mad at you because how dare you? You want grandma to die. All you care about is your 401k. That'll be the response. I get it. I get it. I live in New York City. That's the norm response for me, right? So I get that, right? That's how it's going to happen. You have to not be angry, as I started the show talking about, not be angry, and just say how it matters to you. Because if we don't have our rights, we're in trouble. But I'll go one step further. Just the idea of shutting everything down. People say, you don't want to open the economy up. You don't want to give us freedom again because all you care about is your 401k. You don't care about lives. You don't care about lives. Well, let me tell you something that many of you may not realize. Do you know what is the number one reason why humans die on this planet? Poverty. Number one reason. Poverty. Yes, the economy matters. Yeah, it does. You have a whole lot of people on this planet who literally are living hand to mouth. I work so I can eat that day. Work so I can eat that day. If I don't work that day, I don't eat that day. You're going to shut them down. India has literally tens of millions. Let me say it again. Just India has tens of millions of people just like that. Doesn't count China, Africa, Europe, America, South America, doesn't count any of those. What do you do when those people can't even eat? How are they going to afford a doctor? How are they going to afford any healthy food? They just want food. How about healthy food? So they're not having all kind of problems from eating horrible food. So yeah, Amber, I think we talk about it. Talk about it, keep talking about it, and just keep talking about it. So have you and Judge Greg gotten a single page together we can share? The campaign was announced a little too early. We weren't exactly ready for that. So the best one you can go to right now is Gray Sharpe 2020. Gray Sharpe 2020. Enjoy. Great. So I will stay in if I feel I can have a real impact. Yes, I will, Missy. Thank you for that. Absolutely, I will. Yes. All right. RCV. When you hear RCV, this goes to your point earlier. You were asking, saying, libertarians never talk about RCV, ranked choice voting. We have an acronym for it. Clearly, we talk about it. There is an acronym for it. So we've created that already. So yes, our ranked choice voting is a big deal. We really want to make sure that we try different ways of us getting elected. Absolutely. Thank you, Joe. If elected vice president of USA in 2020, God willing, will your family adjust to being upward to D.C.? Of course. We have to live at the Naval State? No. The Naval Observatory? I think that's right. I think that's where the VP lives. I guess I'll have to go to the Naval Observatory. I still don't know if we'll move, to be forward with you. I don't know. I was talking if I'd won the governorship, would I actually move out of Queens? Maybe. In today's world, we're finding out right now what I was talking about in 2018. 2 years ago, I was talking about this. You don't have to be in Albany. For those who don't know, Albany is the capital of New York State. You don't have to be in Albany to run the government out of Albany. I was talking about having a bus, I drive around a bus and actually, be around the people and actually be with the people and run the government from the bus remotely, I think I may not have to move. If you remember, Trump spent a lot of time in New York before he went to DC. Spends a lot of time in Florida also. So Trump's all over the place. So I don't know. If we win this thing, I hope we will. Obviously, I hope we will. If we win this thing, then I'm the vice president, not the president. So not critical for me to be in DC all the time, but of course I'd be there to support Judge Jim Gray any way he wanted me to do so. And if I need to go up, for those who don't know, there's an Acela train. So a 3 to 4 hour ride from New York to DC. So I could even commute in theory. So I hope I answered your question. So what do you think New York should do next? Reopen or lock down more? I don't think at all that is a black and white question. I don't. I think, of course, you begin to reopen. Absolutely. You have to start reopening, but it's not just, all right, guys, back out. It's the right data, the right information. Let everybody know, create actual rules and guidelines, what you think are the right things. Let everyone know what it is, and then begin to let people out. The more people know, the more they can take the right action. Will some people make errors? Yes, my friend. Some will, no doubt. Will some people die? Yes. And some people are going to die now. It's going to happen either way. The issue is you own your life. You should get the right information and make the right choice that you feel is appropriate. That's the issue. You make the right choice for your life that you feel is appropriate. I don't own your life. You own your life. I give you the right information, show you what's going on, and then we move forward. That's what we do. So, there we go. Thank you, John. I was talking about Ezra. It's the negative was only for futures. Thank you very much, John, for that. I appreciate that. The actual oil price today, $21. Yes, I thought it was 20s or 30s. So yeah, it hasn't gone away yet. Absolutely. It is going down, though. It absolutely would. Yes. So what plans for education would you have on a national level? Your education level in New York was excellent. Look, on a national level, the number one issue is stop pulling the federal government out of education, right? Think about this for a minute. For you guys who know, right? For you guys who know this, anybody happen to know when the National Department of Education actually came into actual power? About 1980. There was a DOE, Department of Education, before. I think it started in the 1870s or 80s. It was a long time ago, but it was basically just a repository for information. It didn't have any teeth. It couldn't do anything, right? It existed, but it was almost like a library, if that makes any sense. That's what it was prior to about 1980. 1980, boom, now it's got teeth. Now it has rules, regulations, it gives out money. That's how it punishes you. It punishes local schools and school districts by funding or not funding. That's how it punishes. I would take the teeth out of the DOE immediately. I don't mind it existing at all. Again, if it is a centralized repository for information, something that teachers could go to, something that districts could go to, something that administrators could go to for information, for best practices. No problem with it being a repository for information. In fact, it can even be for profit in theory, right? If it has ideas, concepts, software, applications that schools could borrow or use or pay a subscription to that they felt valuable, 100%, they could do that. They could actually make money. In fact, even better, what if you had a DOE and then on top of it, private DOEs, right? Private situations where each district or each school, each teacher could have their own subscription or purchase their own services from these, right? If that was the case, the DOE would have to get effective and efficient or it will go away. Either way is okay, as long as it isn't punishing and controlling local school districts. So off the bat, we've got to pull it out. We've got to allow you to do what you feel is right for your individual school district. Now, some people will say, but Larry, the best way is socialized schools. That's what the Swedes have, blah, blah, blah. If you don't know, the Swedes basically have vouchers. I know people hate vouchers, but I'm saying basically they have vouchers. You can go to any school you want to go to if you've got the cash and the school says yes. Everyone has the cash, right? Everyone can say, I want to go to this school, that school, this school, that school. How do you get there? You figure it out. The school either has buses or it doesn't. You don't like that? Don't go to that school. Or you drive your kid to your school or not. But you go to any school you want. You can go to a school in a different city if you want to. You want to drive your kid 2 hours to school every morning? Go ahead, up to you. Doesn't really matter. So that's the style that they have. They have much more of an open system. So I would pull us out and let the states decide how they want to run it. Some would have bad school districts. Some would have better. They will begin to learn from each other and change and shift. Remember, 1980 is when it began. Did anybody go to school before 1980? I did. Somehow I learned how to read and write. I did. I can read, I can write, I can do math, I can function in society. Isn't that amazing? If you're my age or older, surely you went to school before 1980. And if you're watching this and reading stuff, you probably can function in society and read and write and do math. You probably can. Yeah. Wasn't required. Somehow we figured out how to educate ourselves prior to 1980 without the government interference. And I would ask you, do you think our education's gotten better, more effective, worse, whatever, since 1980? I rest my case. All right. Tony Ross, what do you think of the new LP chair? I heard he's awesome. That guy talks too much. That's all I'm saying. The guy who's a new LP NY chair, guy just talks too much. You know, handsome man, though. Good looking man. I'll give him that. But besides that, not too impressed. So I love you, Tony. All right. So, yes. Should the LP convention be moved up so the campaign has more time to do outreach and fundraising, get media exposure? Do all the parties have both their nominees all but official? I don't think that's the right reason to do it now. Do I think in general that should be true? Yeah, I like the idea of it being earlier. I do. But now I don't think we can do it this year. Would that be an idea for the future? Sure, Joe. I think we can move it up. It's fine. But I'm not sure we have to be forward. As a general rule, the other two, the Democrat Republicans, tend to know who their guy or gal is, April or May. If we're in April or May, it's kind of the same. To be forward with you, and this is going to make some people unhappy, but I did it, so I know. Why aren't we outreaching now, right? If I was to run for president, I wasn't, but if I was, I would have started a year ago. I would have already been doing it. Well, Larry, how do you, because I did it, right? When I ran for governor, the New York State didn't give me the nomination until April of 2018. I began my campaign July of 2017. By the time the convention came, I had raised six figures already. I think I'd raised about $200,000. That's a guess. I'm not 100% sure. I think I raised about $200,000 before I got to the convention. I already had a press reel of all the press I'd gotten. I had a reel that I showed at the convention of all the press I'd gotten already. So just go do it, Joe. I'm just saying there's nothing stopping you. And for those who've already done it, I don't know why they haven't dominated. By the time I got, and this is just me doing it in New York State, by the time I got to New York State, what I was afraid of, and those of you who were in my world that knew, I had one worry. I wasn't really worried that some local guy or gal would pop up and beat me at the convention in April 2018. I didn't believe that because I'd sucked up almost all the talent in New York State already. I'd grabbed most of it already to somehow be on my campaign, which is what I think the president nominees should have been doing in the national, right? I was grabbing everyone I could possibly grab. So by the time it came up, I was only worried about a celebrity popping up, right? And, you know, this is a LP. Celebrities sometimes pop up. I was worried that, I don't know, some celebrity might pop up and decide, oh, I'm going to be the guy who saves the New York State Libertarian Party. I was worried about that. That's why I spent so much time dominating the airways, raising money, building my team out, doing events, doing all the outreach and fundraising and media exposure before I even got there. We should all be doing that. So while it'd be nice if it was earlier, it doesn't stop you from doing it. You could do it. I did it. So can anybody else. I hope I answered your question at least. All right. See if I can go some more. All right. Oh, wow. You guys give me a lot of stuff. Thank you so much for this, guys. I appreciate that. I'm going to try to get as many of these as I can. I know sometimes I'm a little bit slow, but I want to make sure I'm answering all the questions that I can possibly answer. So let me grab a couple more if I could. All right. Wow, so many. I apologize. All righty. Larry, can you go more into how Libertarian would approach the corona response? What are your feelings towards the protests regarding state mandated shutdowns? A couple of things. One, let me talk about the protests and then how do you deal with it? The protest first. Of course, if you want to protest, you should protest. There's one thing that's bad, though. If you're going to protest, just the look of it, you should be protesting with your masks on, protesting with some distance. You should be doing what you're saying you're going to do if we open up. So that's all I'm saying, right? I mean, you protest. If you want to protest, it's your right. Please do so. I get it. I think we should be opening up also. I don't think the government has the right to just shut everything down. I'm on the same page. But there's a reality. There's a fear here that I think some of the protesters aren't understanding. And the fear is people are afraid, they're scared, they're going to die. And if you show up like, we're going to get together and call for each other, which is what the media is going to say you're doing, whether you are or not, that means you have to make sure you're doing something extra. But Larry, that's not fair. You're right. It's not fair and still true. So if you're going to protest, you've got to protest like you would want the economy to be open. You got to have your masks on. You got to have all that stuff. You've got to be the 6 feet. You got to do all those things if you want the average American to hear you. If you want the average American to go, okay, these people aren't nuts. They aren't mean. They actually do get it, and they just want things to be better. I think that's how you have to protest, if that makes any sense. I hope that was helpful. A libertarian approach. I've been through this many times, and I'm happy to go through it again. You don't have to mandate any of this, right? The first thing to remember is if I'm the governor or I'm the president, doesn't matter which one I am, but if I'm either of those two, the first thing I do is once the virus crosses out of China into South Korea, regardless of who people around me are talking, I act. That's my trigger, right? Of all the bazillion things a president or a governor is dealing with. And to be fair, if you're one of those executives, there's a lot of stuff hitting your desk every single day, all the time. So I'm sure that the corona wasn't the only thing on Trump or Cuomo's mind. I get that. I will give these guys the benefit of the doubt there. I'm sure it wasn't the only thing on their mind. Lots of stuff's hitting them from all over the place. I got that with you. Once it crosses the border, that's my trigger. All right, other stuff goes to the side. This is now crossing borders. I got to start thinking about it. People are going to start getting scared. How do I act? The country is usually not ready for crisis. We're not good at that. That's not our skill set. We're totally into the as efficient as we can possibly be, which means we tend to run lean. That's what good economies do. They run lean, usually, if they're a good economy, which means they're not ready for this. But they also can be flexible. Flexible. Now, most economies that are lean are also flexible if you give them time. So all we should have done is as soon as it happened, said, hey, guys, this corona thing is real. It's going to be a problem. Local communities, let's start getting organized now. Let's start relaxing regulations. Of course, if I was the governor or president, most of them would have been relaxed anyway. And if any of them if I couldn't have got any of them relaxed, this would have given me the reason to do so. First thing I would have said is immediately all distilling laws immediately ended. They are rescinded, rescinded. They're pushed aside so that you can make hand sanitizer. Let's start doing that now. Distill as much as you think appropriate in local areas. Stop making it. Not just that. If you want to make anything, and I've been through this 1,000 times, Mike. I don't want to keep going down this road. I apologize. But what I want to do is I want to begin to remove all of those barriers that lets the local community begin to make hand sanitizer, mask. They lied to us about the masks. Remember something. Government will always lie until the last point. And you guys who love Obama and Trump get mad at me when I say it. Obama and Bush lied about the last crash. Trump lied about this one. Oh, but my guy, I love Obama or I love Trump. They're the best. They lied. They always do. And the reason why they lie, whether they're told or whether they do it themselves, I don't know if they know or not, right? I'm not sure. So maybe I shouldn't say lie. They may not know. But I believe they know. Is because they want to make sure these super wealthy get liquid. It takes time for the super wealthy to become liquid, right? To sell their assets, to put cash in the bank, do these types of things. So that when the crash actually hits, they're prepared to buy up all the assets of the poor, the working poor, not the poor. The poor obviously don't have many assets. The working poor and the middle class. That's their whole goal. That's why they always lie until the end. Now the wealthy can now suck up all the assets. That increases the wealth gap. So a libertarian would have done immediately, told everybody what was happening, so everyone has an equal chance. That's actually fair, right? Everyone has equal chance. But now everyone now can create masks, I tell my attorneys, my attorney general, to not prosecute anybody who's using 3D printing to make ventilators. I do all those things early on. I talked about this 2 months ago. So I start this November, December, whatever the time was. I forgot when it was. I say it off the bat, all these things. To be forward, Michael, most people would have ignored me. And I know that. There would have only been a few early adopters who would have jumped in and said, hey, I'm going to make some cool masks that like the Batman mask or the Joker mask or the Yankees mask or the Cubs mask, whatever, that made those masks. Would have been looking cool. Why does that matter? Because in East Asia, it is very common for people to wear masks. They already had bird flu. They already had SARS. It's already part of their culture. Ours, not so much. But now when we have the cool stuff, we would be using it. It'll become part of our culture. Number one. Number two, people making hand sanitizer. And I would say rescind any sales tax issues. Gone, no sales tax. Why? So that local nonprofits could sell the stuff instead of my governor that uses prison labor and gives it away and crushes small business. I would say let the VFW or the American Legion make American Legion hand sanitizer and sell for $1 a bottle or whatever it costs. Make some money on top of it, right? Not just to let people create environments where the people who are working don't have to go home. They can instead sleep at the local church, local VFW, local Knights of Columbus. They could sleep there. So rescind all the Department of Buildings regulations. So they don't have to go home and give it to somebody else, and they can still function in society. Now, again, most would have ignored me, but some would have done it. And as some start doing it, that builds out the infrastructure. So that now when people go, oh my God, this is real, we are rocking and rolling. It already started happening, but 3 months late. Right? The people, remember the CDC and the FDA said, you can't make the tests because it's August. I would have ignored all of them. You are not to prosecute. If you do prosecute, I'm gonna pardon. Don't bother. Make tests. Some people would make crappy tests. We would have known that 3 months ago. By now, we'd have tons of tests. We'd have local people doing that. I also don't have anti-gouging laws. Why? If some store decides to sell whatever, toilet paper or whatever they're selling masks for $3 instead of $1, people aren't going to hoard. But not just that. The stores make a bunch of money on the masks. What will they do? They'll have extra masks. They'll donate them for marketing purposes. How do I know that? They're doing it now. They just would have been doing it 2 months ago or 3 months ago. We'd have masks at all the hospitals. We'd have all the PPE we need. We would have them already. They'd be doing it now. If I was in charge, they'd be doing it 2 months ago, 3 months ago, when I was talking about this, Michael. That's what would have happened. We didn't have to lock anything down. We simply had to empower the local communities and say, I'm with you. Good leaders don't go, I got you, be quiet. Good leaders say, let's do this, guys. What are we doing? Get up. What are you doing? Why are you laying there? Get up. Let's go. We got something to do. That's what a good leader does. That's what I would have done. Now, I was a little bit all over the place, but I've just gone through a lot. People have asked that question all the time. So I hope that was at least clearer. There's absolutely a libertarian answer for it, and it was the only way of doing it, right? Absolutely. How do you pronounce VPOTUS? VPOTUS? I'm not sure. Don't really know. So good. All right. Yes, I know that Melissa Caruso Cabrera is running against AOC in my district. I've reached out to her, as most people do in my area. She ignores me. Silly. It is a mistake, and they do it all the time. Eventually, they have to realize that we're powerful. They'll figure it out eventually. Because what people don't get about our party is, particularly if it's close, we as Libertarian Party, being the only third party, we don't have to control everything to control everything. Imagine right now, not true, but imagine magically, all of a sudden, we have 4 Libertarian senators, 5 Libertarian senators. We'd run the Senate with a swing vote. Imagine if we had 15, 20 Libertarian congressmen. We run the Congress with a swing vote. So we don't have to have 51% at all, 10%, 5%, and we're running things. And they obviously don't get that, right? This actually happened in Queens. There was a woman who was a Democrat who was running for district attorney. And she actually was, her criminal justice was very close to libertarian criminal justice. I offered to back her. I offered to support her. I offered to help her get votes. Totally ignored me. She lost by less than 500 votes. Lost by less than 500 votes. If she just would have said, Larry, I'm in, she'd be our district attorney right now. She's not. This happens all the time, Joe. It's silly. Eventually, they will figure it out. They'll figure it out. Yes, Connor, I do need to go back on Joe Rogan. Why don't you reach out to him and tell him I need to be on? Do me a favor, text him and tell him that I need to be on. So, do you believe King Cuomo, His Majesty, when he says he didn't know COVID PT were being sent back to nursing homes? I'm not sure what COVID PT is. What did he expect the hospital to do when people after they recovered? I don't know what that means. Do I believe him? Generally, no. So, general rule, no. I don't know what that means, but no, because I just tend not to believe him. Almost everything he says is just bad. So, yes, here's the reality, Jay. I don't think that we're going to get in debates. I would love to get in debates. I hope we do. I don't think we're going to get in debates. And the reason is the two major parties don't want us in debates. Debates are actually about ad revenue. I do think CNN or MSNBC or one of them will give us a town hall with just us. I think we will get that. We got that in 2016. Then we'll get it again. If we knock it out of the park and do it great and people want to watch us, we're interesting, exciting, interesting, people want to watch us, they'll bring us back. Not because they care about us, because they don't. Because the ratings are good and they've got good ad revenue. In which case, if that happens, then other shows will pick us up because they'll get good ad revenue, right? Then we'll get the Jimmy Fallons and those types. We'll get those shows, the late night with Conan O'Brien. Does he still do Conan O'Brien? Is he still on TV? I think he is. We'll get those guys. We'll get all the guys that the late night TV shows. We'll get those. So the land that are free can never be free from risks. There are numerous predictable potential ways to die. Why don't we shut down highways with traffic facility? This is a great one. I hear this all the time, right? And I got to tell you, Brian, you're correct, but emotionally, it doesn't match. What I mean by that is, you're right, all of those potential risks exist. But if you remember, this goes back to one of my favorite movies, The Dark Knight. Some of you may like Batman. I'm a big Batman fan from when I was a kid. I still love Batman. Even from when I was a kid, I still love him. The Dark Knight. And the character, the Joker there, he talks about something. Those of you who saw the movie, you remember this scene. He's in a hospital bed, and he says, if I tell people that a group of soldiers is going to die, or I'm paraphrasing badly, people are totally okay. But I tell you, one little mayor might get shot, and everyone loses their mind because it's all part of the plan. And that's the point, right? You're right, Brian, but us getting hit by cars or losing something, whatever the case may be, dying to a vaccine or whatever the case may be, that's part of the plan. That's part of what we know. That's the risk that we accept and becomes normal for us, right? Whatever that is. This thing is not part of the plan, and therefore it's 4 times scarier. Logically, you're correct. There's no doubt the data is in. You're right. What I'm saying is the emotion is very different. This is an unknown or an out of the ordinary, as the Joker says, not part of the plan. So it's double scary because of that. Again, it's purely emotional. And I hope that makes sense what I'm saying. It's just emotional. So thank you. Maybe 2024, 2028, we'll see. So what do you think is the biggest hurdle the LP has with itself to overcome? There's several, but the biggest one I see is we tend to eat our own. We are very vitriolic with each other. It's one of the things I would say. If you want to run for office in the Libertarian Party, I always tell people the first thing to ask yourself is, can you accept being backstabbed by people who are supposed to be your friends? If you can't, don't run, because you are going to be backstabbed by people who are supposed to be your friend. That's how our party works. So I think we have an idea that most people in the party, I should say, particularly the older schools who've been here for a while, many of them, they have a scarcity mindset where they think that there's not much here, so I got to get mine. If you do well, you're taking mine. There's a lot of that in the party. So I think that's one of our biggest problems. We have to go from and you think we're supposed to be economic people where the pie can get bigger, right? In theory, we should not be that way. We should be of an abundance mindset, but we are not. We are really of a scarcity mindset of we lose mindset. We've been losing for 40 some odd years. So I think it is our inner culture of scarcity and loss and retreat and not being good enough, imposter syndrome that we have in the party. We break that, a lot of that stuff goes away. I'm trying to break that. We have abandonment issues. I know it sounds crazy, but think about it. Most people come into our party, I'm going to run and be great. they lose, that they get their ass kicked, they get backstabbed, and they leave and come back or just get mad at us and fight others. I'm trying to be the change that I want to see. So I ran in 2016 for VP, lost, and I stayed. I ran for governor in 2018, got us ballot access, but still lost, and I'm still here. I still support people. I try my best to not backstab anybody. To my knowledge, I've never done that. I might have by mistake. If I did, I'm sorry. But I've never purposefully, or to my knowledge, backstabbed anybody. So I try not to. I've been backstabbed many times. It's happening now. People coming up all kind of backstab me right now. As we speak, there's someone online right now calling me some horrible name, because they always do. Every month at least, usually every week, someone calls me a horrible name. Half of the time, it's based on something true. Half the time, it's just a blatant, open lie. What are you going to do? So I think that's our problem. Changing our mindset away from scarcity to abundance. Changing our mindset away from, being imposters, not having abandonment issues. Just takes time. I think we're going through growing pains. And I think it'll be a couple more years before we're past that. I hope I answered that question. All right. Do I think Amash will run? I don't. I don't think Amash will run. He might. I don't know him at all. Well, that's not true. I do know him. I don't know him well. Maybe that's a better way. I do know him. I've met him a couple times, chatted for a couple seconds. We're not buddies. He might. I don't think he will. But we'll find out soon if he will or not. I don't know. But my gut tells me no. I've been wrong before. I could be wrong again. So, all right. Do I vouch for Hillary Clinton? I do not. I do not vouch Hillary Clinton, nor will I ever vouch for Hillary Clinton. So thank you for that. Thank you for bringing up a very painful moment in my life. Thank you, Joe. Thought we were buddies. Gotcha. Okay, good. Should the Libertarian Party move to a primary system? I don't think so, right? I think the primary system is a broken system. A lot of people disagree with me, but I think it is a broken system. I think it gives certain states extra power they shouldn't have. It hurts. It assumes it makes it harder for the little guy to move up. I think there are a lot of downsides to a primary system. It allows for a lot of hatred, fighting between each other all the time, 1,000 debates, which are a disaster. It just makes people hate each other. I'm not a fan of the primary system. So I'd rather keep it a similar way. I wish the others would copy us instead of us copying them. That's my view. Some people would disagree. So let's see here. Should we rethink our supply chain trade with China? Also, the current situation is free trade as solid and beneficial as originally thought? Great question. Questions. First one. Of course we should rethink. Of course we should. Without question, right? And a lot of that's also cultural. And I brought this up in a podcast I did the other day. It's a cultural issue. Right now, there are certain times when we, as Americans, have accepted that we will pay more for American. And in New York State, an example is craft beer. Now, that's different all over, but I'm saying in New York State specifically, many New Yorkers are happy to pay extra for a local craft beer when they can get a much cheaper beer, that comes out of some other place. They're happy to pay the extra couple bucks or whatever it is. I don't drink, so I don't really know, but I know it's whatever. If the other one's $4, this one's $6, whatever it is, right? They're happy to. It's part of their culture. We're happy to do it. So that's fine. But are we ready to do the same thing for some of our basic necessities, right? If you have a couple of kids and now you have to get crayons for school or something, are you prepared culturally, are we prepared culturally to not pay 25 cents for a pack of crayons, but instead pay $1? If we want American-made products, we probably got to pay $1. If we want Chinese, we probably got to pay 25 cents. If we're ready to pay the $1, very easy to buy more American, make more American stuff. Now, I'm exaggerating. I don't know if it's exactly 4 times as much. It's just a thing I just said. But with the change how we're thinking about what we're purchasing, the supply chain and trade will react to the consumer. So are we prepared to do that? At this moment, I'm not sure. However, this crisis might have made that true. I don't know. So now the second one is the current oil situation in free trade is solid and beneficial? Yes. Hold on. Free trade is always the right answer. Always the right answer. I would go so far as to say, and people disagree with me, I get it. Now is the time to reduce tariffs even more, regardless of if they reduce tariffs on us or not. Literally, it will be better for us right now to start reducing tariffs immediately, even if they don't reduce it on us. Now you might say, Larry, you're being a sucker. They got high tariffs and we don't. I want trade. I want jobs. I want people working. More people work when there's more trade. That's just basic economic math. More trade, more jobs. That's how that works. So having to reboot our economy, I've been free trading like there's no tomorrow. Like there's no tomorrow. Let's just start dumping stuff. But Larry, then they'll get more from us or we'll get more from them. Get a job. Fix that later. Get a job. Get a job. Make some good stuff. They'll buy from you. Get a job. Pay your bills. Pay your bills. So my view is free trade's always the right answer. If oil goes down to $10 a barrel, that'll suck, but somebody's going to benefit from that, and we'll keep moving. We'll just keep moving. So, yes, I think we should rethink how we trade with China, but it should be based upon how the consumers react, right? If consumers react appropriately, let's make the change because it will change depending upon how consumers react. And also, of course, we saw, I think, the reverse. We saw the reverse happening in 70s, 80s when Americans actually stopped buying American cars and were only buying foreign cars. There was a time when I would never buy an American car. That's totally changed. I now own an American car. American cars have become much better. But when I was growing up, they were terrible. I only bought Japanese and German cars. And then now I've bought an American car. My last 2 cars were American. So anyway, to answer your question, free trade always the answer. And yes, we should rethink, but it should be based upon how the consumers react. All right. How about a conversation about bringing our industry leaders together in times like these? We don't have to. They're already being set up. Where do you think all that money's going to, Kirk? I mean, the money's all going to them, right? There's what, 2-point-something trillion dollars, and like $6 goes to us, and 2.2 trillion goes to big companies. I mean, it's already going to them. That was a giveaway to cronies. They're already getting their cash. They're set. Big industries, remember something, in these types of things, big business wins. They don't lose. They win. What happens is the middle class and the working poor lose. Big business buys them all up. What you're going to see happen, all those local stores, they're all gone. Not all, but a bunch. Probably at least half of them are gone. They're going to be replaced by franchises, which is big business. So, Kirk, we don't need them. They're doing well. They're like, oh, great. Let's get liquid and buy some stuff. They're going to get bigger. So, if anything, I'd want small business guys to help me out, not the big ones. So, what's your perspective on the pragmatic minarchist approach versus ideological pure ANCAP? The lockdowns have made me full anarchist, but I appreciate pragmatism. I don't think there is a versus at all. I think that's a false dichotomy. It doesn't exist. The question is, would I want, in my perfect world, a completely voluntary society? Of course I would. Of course I would. Are we anywhere near that? Not even close. Hannah, I would ask you something. This lockdown should have done the reverse for you. It should have done the reverse. It shouldn't have made you a full anarchist. It should make you realize our country is nowhere near that. I've been telling libertarians this literally for years, and they laugh at me. No, the country wants... No, the country's begging to not be free. Our country's begging to be locked down. We're thanking our rulers for destroying our lives, Hannah. And you're anarchist now. Okay, I got it. I'd love to go there too. But the world's telling you right now, we are nowhere near that. I just want to turn us around and have us face it. How about that? Let's face freedom and start walking down that road. We're walking the opposite way. I'm sorry, this is the Sharpe way. This is the freedom way. This is the not freedom way. Sorry, not freedom way, it's this way. That's where we're walking right now. I want to have us walk this way. I think we have to have a pragmatic approach just to get people to go, oh, so I shouldn't love my jailers? Yeah, you actually shouldn't love your jailers. So government isn't the only answer? Yeah, it's not the only answer. That's what I want. Once we do that, now we're facing the right direction. Now let's start marching. Now we're going the right direction. So my opinion here, Hannah, is they're not different at all. They're not. They're exactly the same. We're both marching in the same direction. The country's going this way. Turn around, face this way, and let's start going that way. Then we can decide how far we go. How about that? Let's go as far as we can, as fast as we can, without doing one important thing. Making the population so afraid they reverse it again. Because you keep seeing, as they get more and more afraid, they keep reversing us. We keep getting worse every time we get afraid. So you start screaming, we got to go pure this, pure that. They get more afraid. We get worse. So I don't think they're necessarily different. What I love, again, I'd love to have a total voluntary society. I'd love that. This is showing us, as we're locked in our basements, we're nowhere near that. I might as well say, I would like to ride a unicorn, buy a leprechaun. Same thing. The odds of that happening next year are the same as a voluntary society. Exactly the same. Same chances. So I hope that was at least clear. So, all right. Now it's time to buy. People are itching to get out right now. Travel, shopping, motorsports. Look at that. Pete's ready to rock and roll. I love it. There we go. And gas is cheap. Absolutely. So I guess it is time to do that. I love that. It's good. Yes, I know the captions are funny because they don't match. And I speak New Yorkese. So when I'm speaking New Yorkese, the captions put up all kind of stuff. I don't know what that is, but what are you going to do? So thank you, Maryland. Thank you for showing up. I appreciate that. I don't think government should buy the oil contracts. That's propping up an industry. Let it fail. Allow alternative energy options opportunity to become a viable option. I agree, Joe, and they're not going to pay attention to us. I agree. And they're not going to hear us. You're totally right. And the government's going to go, oh, wait, we get to prop up an oil industry? Yay. And they're going to buy up contracts and buy up oil. They're going to probably get larger reserves now that we actually won't need anymore. So we're going to have a bunch of crude oil that we'll never need, right? Because we have to keep it in case there's a massive tank battle, which hasn't happened in 70 years and is not ever going to happen again. But just in case we have massive tank battles, we'll have lots of oil to fuel our tanks, I guess. I don't know, or air battles, which hasn't happened in 50 years. But whatever, then that will happen, whatever the case may be. So yes. So let me keep going down if I could. I think when it's done, it will be clear to many without bias that this lockdown was clearly necessary. I think you're right. And this is the hardest part for us to handle, John. What are people going to say a year from now or 6 months from now, whenever that is, when it actually wasn't that bad? Here's what I think they're going to do. They're going to find a reason to validate what happened. They're going to say things like, well, without a lockdown, we'd all be dead. Or it was because of the lockdown that it wasn't that bad. Or the Swedes are special because their country starts with an S, which you can't die from COVID if your country starts with an S. Or whatever. I was joking, obviously. But the point being, I think whatever happens, I think they're going to find a way to validate their bad behavior because people tend to validate their bad behavior. Who's going to want to accept the fact that they destroyed people's lives for nothing? And the worst part is, when you start seeing people dying, suicides, mass shootings, divorce rates flying up, kids getting taken by CPS, kids in foster care, when you see all that happening, small business, when you see literally our patents will go down because there'll be no more, I'm exaggerating, because there'll be so few entrepreneurs and entrepreneurial spirit. When you see that, and you see small businesses not opening up anymore compared to in the past, when you see all those things, they'll say, oh, well, look over there. I guess maybe we'll, I don't know, bomb Iran or something. Whatever. We'll do something that will change things. I really think that you're right, but I don't think they're going to learn. I think we're going to find a reason to accept it as true, and hopefully enough people will get it. So, Pete, many farmers' friends right now can finally afford to fill bulk diesel storage tanks. Look at that. Pete, look at you, the optimist that you are. I love it. Absolutely. You are definitely an optimist. I love it. Do you see the dollar collapsing with all this money printing the government is doing? I've been shifting my portfolio, investing in gold and silver. Well, the Russians and the Chinese are buying gold. So I think that might be something, Paul. As a general rule, the American dollar is backed by the American military. So maybe we have to invade another country. Sounds horrible. Maybe that's the answer. I don't know. My gut tells me that we have to flex our muscle again. The goal has to be to make sure that we don't, the U.S. dollar does not leave or doesn't stop being the reserve currency. And as long as we're, bombing people and have bases everywhere, the odds are that's not going to change. So I think that's the biggest issue. But eventually, I think we see it, right? I see it in my own state. We see it in the country. Eventually, we have a default. I don't know how you get around that. Eventually, it has to happen, right? New York State, prior to this, was $400 billion in debt, and at a $6 billion deficit. Prior to this, before this even happened. Now we're going to be at least, $1 trillion in debt, at least after this is done, and at least a $12-14 billion deficit, at least, if not more than that. We were losing 100,000 people a year already. We lose 200,000-300,000 people every year. We'll be down below 15 million people. We were at 18. In my lifetime, we were at 20, right? In my lifetime. We were at 20 million in my lifetime. We'll be at 15 million or lower soon, which means the tax base goes down. People talk about how people leave in New York State. My state's got to go under. It just has to. I mean, maybe Illinois might go first. Illinois is in bad shape. Illinois might go under first, and then we'll go under next or whatever, or we'll go under before them. Who knows? But many of the states are in bad shape. And as the states go under, who takes them over? Federal government. But we don't know that. When a state basically defaults, basically goes bankrupt, the federal government takes them over. So the federal government absorbs their debt. Isn't that awesome? Because one thing the federal government doesn't have enough of is debt. Yeah. So as the states start going under, then the federal government eventually has to default, which will destroy everything because how many people have the money in bonds? What happens when the bonds default? So I don't know. I think eventually it has to happen. I don't know when it happens. I hope not for a long time. But I've been talking to people in New York State. And again, when I ran, all this stuff's coming to pass. I talked about you New Yorkers, how your pensions are a fantasy, how they're going to be going away real soon. You see it. Watch the pensions all of a sudden be changed all of a sudden. Has no choice. So I don't think it's a bad thing to buy gold and silver. I don't think it's ever a bad thing to do that. I don't know if it's your best chance for investing, but I can't ever see it being a bad thing to invest in those two. They're always going to go up eventually. And eventually the dollar does crash eventually. I don't know when that happens, though. Hope I answered your question, Paul. All right. What's your position on the closing of Indian Point nuclear plant in New York? I'm fine with it. And the reason why I'm fine with it is not because I am pro or anti-nuclear nuclear weapons are going to be going. No, pro or anti-nuclear power, not because of that. Because the technology in Indian Point is old, dangerous technology. I am actually very pro-nuclear power, just not the old technology that could actually melt down and destroy stuff. The newer technology is amazing. The problem is the federal government won't allow us to use it because of old ideas and concepts. There's new ideas now where the nuclear technology actually uses spent fuel rods as fuel. So it uses the spent fuel, the waste, as new fuel, and it's set up to where it is physically impossible to melt down. It cannot melt down. That's what I want, and I want lots of it. I really do want lots of it. So I'm happy they're shutting it down because of the old technology. I'm not happy that they don't have an answer, which means New York State now will have to import energy, either from Canada or from Pennsylvania. So you know what a state that has huge debt and deficit needs? Importing energy. If I was writing this in the novel, you would laugh at me and say, why would you write something so stupid? Nobody would do that, but it's actually true. It's one of those times when, reality is actually worse than fiction. So while I'm totally okay with it, I'm not okay. We don't have an answer for it. That's a problem. So yes, that's been my experience, my friends, more or less being called stupid or insane. Yes. And we just have to keep talking. Just keep talking and keep talking. Yes, Kirk, malnutrition. This is the number one reason why people are going to start having problems, right? Poverty is a killer. It is a killer. If you are worried about being exposed to COVID-19 because non-essential businesses are opening again, you are still free to stay home. Yeah, Pete, I mean, we're learning how to function at home now better than ever. I totally agree. But my worst problem is non-essential. Who gets to decide that? The governor decides what's non-essential? The only non-essential work or business is the one that doesn't pay my bills. If it pays your bills, that's essential. Period. I don't care what you do. Does it pay your bills? It does. It's essential. Done. I can't believe anybody thinks anything else. So the non-essentials, a lot of people are saying, I hear all the time, oh, I lost my job because of COVID. No, you didn't. You lost your job because a governor and or a president decided you were non-essential. That's why you lost your job. That's it. People decided you were non-essential. That's why you lost. The government shut your business down. The government took away your job. COVID didn't. The government did. Don't think anything else. The government did. The government could have done things so you can keep your job. Could have done things so that you could keep your house. Could have, but didn't. Yes. All right. The government needed to buy some of these apps. I think the government could buy it. They're going to sell it back, maybe. I guess I don't know. So anyway, when I talk to people about economic effects of the shutdown, they reply by saying the government should help them. Yes, Catman, 100%. Yes, this is exactly the issue. The issue is, and I think most people don't know any better. It's an ignorance issue for most people. There are some people who actually, right? But most people, this is just an ignorance issue. They can't imagine anything else besides government helping them. And there are so many other ways for us to help. But again, literally for the past 60 years, since the biggest piece has probably been the war on poverty, probably the biggest piece, but even prior to that, as we start adding government, we by default remove community. And as we remove community, why would someone think the community could work? I remember I was watching my Mayor de Blasio, talk over the weekend, and he said, these community-based nonprofits, we haven't funded them well, we haven't funded them here, and now they're struggling because we haven't funded them. They're not community-based nonprofits if the government's funding them. They're government-funded programs, just they're not government employees. So even community programs, the community that's left is run by the government. Even that's not a community program. It's run by the government. So they have to spend more money to fund the community program. It's the government. It's a big problem. I completely agree 100%. It is a huge problem. All right. Two opposing things can be true at the same time. We need to stay locked down in order to prevent deaths and illness from the coronavirus, and we need to open up the economy to prevent death and despair from massive economic recession. 100%. No one can predict with accuracy which is going to be worse. There are incredibly difficult choices that we are faced with, and reasonable people are going to come to different conclusions. Those decisions are going to have positive, I assume, consequences. Yes. I get it. I guess we all like Ike. See that? Yes. So we like Ike. Ike, you are correct. Absolutely. This isn't black and white. And people always try to do that. They'll go, so you just care about your 401k. No, I care about people dying. Not just in America, of course, America, and the rest of the world. And the rest of the world. As bad as the deaths will be in America, and they will be bad, they're going to be worse in India and the continent of Africa. And the poorer the country, the more people have the deeper poverty, more deaths, more pain. And the worst piece is their deaths will be more painful than COVID because they will be long and horrible deaths. Worse than COVID. Worse. All right. We need to sue for the right to be in all debates and for equal exposure. Jay, I got to tell you, I disagree. I think it's useless. As I always say, the debates are about ad revenue. That's what they're about, ad revenue. Be more popular is the answer. The more popular we are, the more we'll be in debates. Suing, if we sue and we win, and the court say you got to be in debates, and make a debate. Trump goes, I'm not showing up. No debate. Debate's canceled. There'll be a town hall with Biden and Trump, and we won't be invited. It won't be a debate. It'll be a town hall. This all happened. I know it happened to me in New York. Literally, it happened to me. Of course. Yes. So, if Gray is not appointed to the LP POTUS nominee, you mean if he doesn't win? I assume if you mean if he doesn't win the nominee and you're still voted VP nominee, we still run with the LP chosen candidate. This is a question I get all the time. And the number one issue is if I think that I can make impact, I would. If not, I won't. If I don't see people backing with promise of funds, promise of support, promise of press, if I don't believe that people are behind our POTUS, what am I doing? Throwing your money away. I'm not going to do it. But if I believe they're behind him or her, I shouldn't say him, it could be her, right? Right now, I know Joe Jorgensen's running. There's a few other women running too. I'm sorry, I'm being bad. I forgot when people are running. There's a lot of people running. There are a few women running also. I know Joe Jorgensen's running. She's going to be on my show coming up here. Joe Jorgensen wins. If people are behind her, Jorgensen Sharpe. If they're not behind her, no. The people right now, all the people who've got the backing that I see, they're all behind Judge Jim Gray. That's what I see. They're all behind Judge Jim Gray, and I am too. This is a Gray Sharpe 2020 ticket. That's what it is. It would only change if that changed. If that doesn't change, Gray Sharpe all the way. That's where I am. Gray Sharpe 2020. If you want to go there, GraySharpe2020.com. I hope I answered your question. Where am I here? You know what? Yes, haters are going to hate. I do love this. True pandemics are hate and greed. I love that. Hate and greed. Yes. And yes, Tony, that guy is a very handsome man. But that's about all he's got going for him. Nothing but that. That's all he's got. All right. Someone already asked me again, do you think Justin Mash is going to jump into the LP race? I'm going to speak quickly so that now the bottom will be a disaster. I hope that's funny for you guys. I don't think so, but he might. He might. But I don't think so, but he might. It's hard for me to know. I don't know him very well before. I know him, but not very well. We are very much acquaintances. That's where we are right now. So I don't really know. My gut tells me no, but I could be wrong. And you guys keep asking about debates. I'll keep saying it. Number one thing, be popular. Doing more of this. You guys want to help me get in debates? You can help me get in debates. Like, share, comment. Everything I do, like, share, comment. You do that, we can get debates. That's the most critical piece. Like, share, comment. I can't tell you enough. Like, share, comment. That's everything. That's what I'm talking about. All right. Where am I here? Yes, happy 420. Absolutely. Yes, good. All right. Yes, someone was about earlier before about the idea of no party majority. We could do that. Absolutely. We could absolutely do that. There is a clarity of the libertarian message. It really is. It's the idea that we don't want to force people to do that, right? I don't want to force people to do anything. PT's patience. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Yes. Thank you. Yes. Yes. Awesome. All right. There is no pro-legalization candidate besides Jim Gray and Larry. I'm letting my 420 friends know it's an option. I agree, right? The number one thing we can do as president, number one, you want to help cannabis? Very simple. Can be done with executive order. Executive order. Take cannabis off the Schedule 1. Done. Cannabis off Schedule 1. If the president does nothing else, just that, we're good. Just that. Take it off Schedule 1. Just that. Of course, there's much more we could do. Obviously. I'm just saying, done. Just done. All right. Larry, would it be worth to buy an hour to do debate? It might be. Just the idea is how much does the campaign raise, which is why I talked about earlier, right? Many people get upset when I talk about how much money matters and backing matters. You go, no, it's the message, it's the this. The message is irrelevant if no one hears it, right? We have to be able to hear the message. We have to be able to become valuable in people's minds. When I ran for governor, I learned how important money is. Don't get me wrong. I knew that money was important. I didn't know how important it was. Literally, people were saying, Larry, why aren't you in the polls? So I'd ask the pollsters, why am I not in the poll? Because you didn't buy the poll. Buy the poll, you're in the poll. The major people, when they buy polls, cost $40,000. I only raised $500,000. I'm going to drop 10% of what I raised on one poll that I might do terribly in? Is that really the right use of donor money? Is that really the right, is that responsible use of donor funds? I didn't think so, right? So what could I have done with that kind of money? I mean, if I'd have come in also, like come in first or something, totally worth it. If I'd have come in first in a Gallup poll or something, that'd been amazing. But the odds of me coming in first in a Gallup poll, slim to none. So I'll spend the money someplace else. But if we have enough money, you're right. We could, take an hour on CNN and just do a debate, or take an hour on CNN and do a town hall. Of course we could do it. So it might be worth it. It depends upon how much money we raise and how much we have to do that. We raise millions, that becomes realistic. We don't, that becomes a fantasy. So I think that's really the issue. So, all right. Yes, LP members will trash you instead of helping you or just walk away. Yes. Something I want to make sure that everyone understands here. If you are a libertarian, you have seen people backstab each other. You've seen it. Say horrible things. And here's what they will always do. They will validate their bad behavior by doing something like this. Well, it's because I got to call out principle, whatever. No, you don't. You don't have to call out anything. You're choosing to call out stuff. And you may. It is your right. You've got a First Amendment right. If you want to call somebody out, you can. Go ahead. You don't have to. That's a lie. That's a lie. You don't have to. You can say nothing. That's an option that you can take if you want to. You can say nothing. If you don't like the person who wins our POTUS, you can just say nothing. You don't have to attack them. People will, and they'll go, oh, it's because of my principle, his principle. I got to do the right thing. No, you're not. You're being self-righteous, which again, you can do that if you want to. You have a First Amendment right to do so. But please stop saying you have to or you must. You don't. You can say nothing if you want to. You're making a choice to say certain things about certain people. You're not being righteous. You're not critically important. You're not changing people's minds. You're just being self-righteous. And again, you can do so if you want to. All I'm saying is you don't have to. So thank you for that, Michael. You're right. Boy, do we get bad. We really get upset. So absolutely. You know what, Eric? Me too. I wish I was governor also. It would be nice. Absolutely. Yes. I wish you know what? I just want us to be a family. And I don't mind if you get upset or angry at me. And family members often fight. We often do. I'm mad at you. You're mad at me. You said this. You said that all the time. But end of the day, we're still family, right? And when the outside threat says something, we still say, whoa, outside threat, which is why you don't see me trashing everybody else. Why? Because 2 months from now, I'm backing whoever the POTUS is. Whoever the POTUS candidate is, I'm backing that person. Him or her is now my candidate. So why would I be hammering them and calling them bad names when 2 months from now I'll be saying, vote for the person who I just called names last week? Why would I do that? Vote for this person who I just insulted 2 weeks ago. I'm not doing that. So I completely agree. We are still the absolute same party, same family. And I am a tyrant. It's true. I am a tyrant. The second I get any power, boy, do I keep it. I just keep it and I stop punishing people. Yes. As we mentioned earlier, I'm a fan of all different types of voting methods. I am happy with any of them, approval voting, anything that will change us. All I'm talking about is, can we make the shift as early as possible to get people thinking about different forms of voting? The average American has absolutely no idea how there's any other way of voting besides the type that we have. There's no other way of voting. So I think anything we could do, I would take any of those. You pick it. Yes, absolutely. Really support your stance on numerous issues and concerns. Notice it needs your guidance and leadership. Hope you get your chance in the next election cycle. I might. We'll see, right? We will see what happens. I don't want to promise, yes or no. I don't want to promise either way. I just want to say that it could happen, and I'm happy to do it if things, get together, right? What is your response to Holmberg calling Gray Sharpe campaign Republican light? I don't remember when I was Republican. I don't remember that. So not sure. I don't remember that happening. If you could show me that when I was Republican, I don't know. I don't remember being Republican ever. I don't know. So I guess, and I think the last time Gray was Republican was 25 years ago, give or take. When does he become a libertarian? After a year? After 20 years? After 10 years? When does he become a libertarian? I'm not sure. I don't know. Holmberger's a good guy, though. He's very smart, by the way. Those of you guys don't know Holmberger. Super smart. Guy just knows his stuff. Brilliant, smart guy, without question. So I don't know. I hope I answered your question, Diego. I don't know what that is. So, all right. Let's see. Do you see any changes to the Second Amendment in New York? Now, no. If you've noticed in New York State, His Majesty King Yancey II, His Grace, has decided that we don't get to have pistol permits anymore. I'm not joking. He's just said we don't get them because not essential. You protecting yourself, not essential. You don't get to protect yourself. You're not important. You're not essential. So no, he's literally stopped that. He has literally stopped that. Right. So if anything, it's going to get worse. He shut down Remington. So Remington, is Remington still in New York now, right? Then I think Remington recently moved a big chunk of their workers to, who was it, Alabama, Mississippi, someplace down south. I forgot where it was. But Remington recently moved a bunch of its personnel down south. I think about 2,000 jobs or something like that. But because they just didn't feel like they were welcome here. And the reason why they didn't feel that like they weren't welcome here is because they weren't welcome here. That would be the reason. They felt it because it was true. Cuomo doesn't want them here. Cuomo doesn't want anything to do with guns. He wants to end the Second Amendment period. If it was up to him, he would take it away tomorrow. So I don't think anything's going to get better when it comes to the Second Amendment in New York State until at least 2022. If I run again, I'll be talking about it like I always do. So at that point, people will bring it back up again. Until then, it's really a problem. It's just bad. I'm sorry, Derek. I wish I could tell you something better, but I don't want to lie to you. I want to tell you the truth. It's a problem in New York State, a big problem, one that I talk about often, but it's not getting better. So eliminate all tariffs. Yes. Just look, let's get out there and let's try to bring some stuff up, So anyway, what do you got against the 85 Chrysler? Yeah. In 80, hold on. I had an 86 Volkswagen Jetta in 1990 or 89, I think. It was one of my first used cars. I had my first car, if I remember right, was a Japanese small car called like a Champ or something like that. Small car. My next car was another Japanese car, then another Japanese car, then a German car, then a Japanese car, then a German car, and now I have an American car. So yeah, so I was Japanese German for forever. Nothing against the 85 Chrysler. It's probably was a tank, as I would assume, but it probably fell apart just because. Sorry, you can be mad at me for that. Sorry. Yes. Yeah, capitalism allows us to vote every day. This is my point. I would like us to have much more of a consumer-driven world, right? Let the consumers drive it. The reason why you often don't hear me use the word capitalism is because a lot of capitalism in America today is actually crony capitalism. And you see it with the bailout. The bailout was heavily about cronyism. So for most people, when they hear capitalism, they think crony capitalism. So that's why I don't often use that phrase, because people think there's a negative connotation of crony capitalism. And crony capitalism is bad. Crony capitalism is garbage. That's bad. That's government with capitalism mixed together. Terrible. I completely disagree with that. I'm totally against crony capitalism, but many people see this capitalism as crony capitalism. So Harry Browne was a visionary. Absolutely. So yes, I just want to go as fast as I can go. That's the issue, right? I want to make sure I go as fast as we can. So yes. Buy a leprechaun. Are you advocating for slavery? That's a cute one. I like that. If leprechauns were real, yes. But I have no problem with you enslaving imaginary creatures. Totally fine with that. You can enslave imaginary creatures all day long, just not real humans, right? Anyone imaginary, awesome. Yes, I know some of you understand my New Yorkese, but that's because you guys are from New York. The rest of you guys, no, they're going to work. So yes. I used to love Battlezone on the Atari 2600. Yes. That was the last tank battle. I think it was. Yes, it was that. I actually had an Intellivision, and I had a Commodore 64 computer. Yes, tell you how old I am. That's what I actually had, 100%. So thank you. Do you think Cuomo is going to bankrupt New York on purpose to get the Fed to bail it out? Chuck, that's an interesting idea. I don't actually know. It's not beyond him, because he would then say he'd be able to blame the Fed, right, for his horrible governing for the past 10 years. It's not a bad way of blaming the Fed. He could blame Trump again. He loves blaming Trump for everything. So I think that'd be awesome. He could blame Trump for New York being a disaster. Not bad. If I'm a Cuomo guy, right? Not bad to blame Cuomo for everything. I'm sorry, to blame Trump for all his failures. He could say how he's saving us by taking us through the bankruptcy. Maybe. Look, it seems drastic, but this is drastic times. Chuck, it's possible. I mean, as you're saying, as I'm running through my head, I don't think it's necessarily it might actually work. Yeah. So what happens when the next virus hits? Yes, Joe. Oh my God. Yes, Joe. Absolutely. We're not ready for it. This has been my biggest issue the entire time. We have spent all this time talking about how we can save now, prepare now. What the hell is going to happen when the next one hits? Is this our answer every time? Oh, another virus? Destroy everything. Shut it all down. Terrible idea. Yes, we have to learn how to survive in a virus environment. And that sounds horrible, I know. But when I was in the Marine Corps, I bring this up all the time. You guys are probably tired of hearing about it. I was taught you've got to be in the battlefield and fighting regardless of how contaminated the battlefield is. The war doesn't end because the enemy put a biological weapon or chemical weapon, or at that point in the 80s, tactical nuclear weapon. Doesn't end. The war's still going on. You got to fight anyway. Well, our lives keep going on. They don't end because of the virus. The lives still go on. If you die, your life ends, obviously, but you still leave people behind you, and their life still goes on. Our lives of us and our loved ones still go on. How are we going to survive in this environment? What we should have been doing off the bat, as I said, 2-3 months ago, is figuring out protocols for how to survive in this environment. How can a restaurant survive in a virus environment? Does that mean they have to have, I'm making this up, obviously. Do they have to have tables that are 6 feet apart? Do they have to have plexiglass up between each person? Do they have to only do takeout to the back or to the front? What do they have to do, right? How does that work? I don't know, but you're seeing it now. You're seeing these businesses figure out how to survive in this environment, keeping the amount of contagion as low as possible, mandating masks before you go in, using plastic, giving you plastic gloves as you go inside, making one-way aisles only, right? We should have been doing this 3 months ago, not now. 3 months ago, testing this out. We would have lowered the curve already without having to do any lockdowns at all. We would have lowered the curve already. We'd know how to function. Once the virus is finished, let us run through, we go back to our old ways, but we now know all the protocols. The next time a virus hits, boom, off we go into the next set of protocols. Do it again and again and again, so we can function here. You're totally right, Joe. Thank you for bringing that up. It's amazing. We're thinking of Iran loading its submarines and the Russian jet flybys. This false flag drop of oil. We think we'll open fire in Iran. To be forward, Dan, this is scary to me for many reasons. One, what do Russians do or Americans do or whoever, Iranians do, when the economies crash? When internally they've made errors and screwed things up? What do many countries do? They fight somebody else. They find an external enemy, right? And that's how this takes away how bad their own internal government is. This is literally what 1984, the book, is all about, right? For those of you who either saw the movie or read the book, 1984 is about a country that's in perpetual war, so that people are always afraid and they forget how bad their government is. The government's always the savior, right? No matter what, the government's always the savior. So I don't know if this is false flag. I don't know. But yeah, it's scary because why wouldn't they, right? Why wouldn't, if Iran's in trouble? Iran already has us an enemy. So Iran doesn't require another enemy. They already have us. And that's why they're still around, because we're so dumb as to play into their enemy narrative. So our stupidity falling into an Iranian narrative makes them, fine. And we're dumb. We fall into that narrative for us also, as Iranians are going to invade us or something. Why do I care if the Iranians load submarines? What do I care if the Iranians have 5,000 submarines? What do I care? They're going to invade us? What are they going to do? They're going to invade us? No. They're going to stop our shipping? It's their oil coming out. No. They're going to do nothing. It's just them. I'm flexing. I'll get you. No, you're not. Stop. Nothing's going to happen. They don't do anything. So I don't care if they have submarines. What do I care? But someone else is going to go, oh my God, they're going to nuke us or something. They're not going to nuke us. It's not going to happen. And we've just proven they don't have to. All they have to do is create a virus, give their people, enough of their people, the vaccine, and then release the virus. And we'll shut our economy down and destroy ourselves. We've already shown them that. So I am worried that it's just making people angrier, but I don't think we're going to be invaded or anything like that. I'm not concerned about that. So, all right. What action will VP Sharpe push for the responsible withdrawal combat troops from the foreign war zones? I won't have to. I will not have to. Judge Jim Gray is already about it. I'll just be nodding my head. This is what I'm going to be doing. That's all I have to do. Because, and to be forward, that's any libertarian presidential candidate. Of course, Judge Jim Gray, he's the guy I'm backing. So of course him. But that will be anybody, right? This is my job. That's it. Maybe they tell me to go do it because I'm a vet, and I'm head of the dissolution or withdrawal team. Fine, I'll do that if they want me to do that. It's fine, because I am a vet, so maybe I'll do that. But otherwise, my job is to nod my head, which I'm good at. See, look. See that? Skill. Big skill. All right. Thoughts on the data coming in that people are being tested and are much higher rate of antibodies. Yeah, I think that we don't know how that's working, right? We don't know how many people actually had this. I might have had it in December or January, or I don't know. I was working until literally March. I was working until March. So I was going to the city. I was going to Manhattan, subway, until March. So possible I had it. Who knows? I remember I had like 4 days of fatigue. Maybe I had it. Who knows? My wife might have. My kids might have got it at school. Who knows? So I think whatever the death rate they have now, I don't know what the death rate is going to be, but I think it's going to be a whole lot lower than they said because of all the people who may have already had it. So it's a great point. Right. All right. If the state can shut down any business declared to be non-essential, then it's clear who owns that business. Yep. Absolutely. The way that the business should be shut down is the consumer shut it down by not showing up. That's how every business that gets shut down should be shut down, because consumers say, I'm not going to go to that business. And when they don't, that business shuts down, as it should. That is how it should work, right? If consumers drive the economy, then the business goes under when consumers say, I'm not going there. Done. Absolutely. So, all right. Who has been the best or least worst president over the last 100 years, and one reason why? Wow. That's a hard one for me. Last 100 years too, so you only give me from 1920 on. Jesus Christ, they're all so bad. Tough. Wow, tough one. I don't know. Let me give you a reason why I would give one person a good one. Jimmy Carter, because he didn't want war. There we go. Jimmy Carter didn't want war. Last 100 years? Let me see. Truman was bad. He invaded countries. At least Ike talked about the military-industrial complex. I'll give him that one. How about that? That's a good reason why. He discussed the power of the military-industrial complex. I mean, he basically was part of it and had the CIA overthrow Iran. But still, that's good. He talked about the military-industrial complex. It's something. I'll give him that. Tough. Sorry. Really tough. They've all just bombed and made things worse and taken more power. They really have been bad. So yeah, I don't know. They've been bad. So bad. Coolidge? Coolidge not bad. How about that? Coolidge, there we go. He was 24. Is my math right? Is it 20? Was he 24? 1924? Is that right? Ooh, I could be off. Someone help me out. Coolidge, maybe. There we go. Coolidge. That's not bad. I think he's in your 100-year range. Maybe Coolidge. How about that? Because he actually tried to make America about business and not about government. How about that? Is that a good one? I gave you 3. I hope that was, at least I hope my reasons were at least good, right? Maybe Coolidge. I think Coolidge was, someone will Google it for me, I'm sure. I think Coolidge was 1924. I think that's right. So then it would work. Or was he 1928? I think 24. Anyway, maybe Coolidge. All right. Let's see. Pension hold many government bonds. Yes, they do. Lots of them. I was telling people in 2018 that the pension bomb is going to hit. This is just going to make stuff worse. It's just going to make stuff worse. Absolutely. Yes. We're starting to see southern states opening up. Northern states need to be keeping their quarantines. How do you see this playing out? I think yes. I think that's going to happen. The South will start and the North will follow behind, right? Generally, the North has larger cities, generally speaking. There's not a 100% rule. They generally do. And because we have larger cities, we're more afraid, right? So generally speaking, I think that's going to happen. And I'm glad. I don't want to force a state to open up. What I want to do is not force them to be closed. That's the issue. We're forcing people to be closed. Some people are still going to be afraid. The last poll I saw, something like 60 or 70% of people still believe we should be in lockdown. So most people are going to stay home anyway. There's no requirement to force it, John. I think it'll slowly, pick that up, that way, right? I don't mind quarantine in New York. I'm not sure if that was attack or not. I'm not sure. All right, all right, we haven't built nuclear power plants in this country since the 1970s. Yes, and the federal government has stopped us. The federal government has stopped us. I said when I was in running for governor, New York State, if I could, I'd put 3 nuclear power plants in our North Country. 3 in our North Country. North Country could use the jobs. North Country has the space. We have amazing colleges in upstate New York who could provide all this savvy tech people to do the job. It's a good tech job going on for a long time. And not just tech jobs. You got to support a tech job. You need restaurants. You need hotels. You need all that stuff, housing, transportation, all those things, right? To help out and deal with maintenance, all that stuff. So I absolutely agree, Tony. It's a terrible idea. We should have been working on it. And I absolutely would have done it a long time ago. So, all right. Let me grab a couple more if I could. It pays your bills. It brings your paycheck. Your paycheck buys your food. It's essential. It's essential. Laura, home run. Yes. Absolutely true. It is critical that we need any job that pays your bills is by default essential. 100%. Yes. The government shut down my waitressing job, so I got one in a grocery store. Despite being at risk for complications, if I catch the virus, I can't afford to stay home, and unemployment is guaranteed. Yeah. Aubrey, pay your bills. Yes. I'm glad you're out there paying your bills. I think we should all pay our bills. Please, guys, pay your bills. Absolutely. Right? Any job that pays your bills, that's an essential job, period. Get out there and pay your bills, please. And be clear, some people get upset. They go, well, wait a minute, Larry, you're a libertarian. How can you tell people they should, take your Trump bucks? You give your Trump bucks back. Shut up. What are you talking about? Pay your bills. If Trump's going to give you $1,200, take your money and pay your bills. If you're going to get unemployment, take your money, pay your bills. Period. Survive. That's what's most important. You got to do that, right? If you got to go on SSI or disability, pay your bills. You can't be a fighter in the liberty movement if you don't have a roof over your head, right? Now, to be clear, it does mean I take as Joe says, here's your $1,200 and keep your mouth shut. I'm not saying that, Joe. I'm saying take your $1,200, take your $1,200 and keep talking, right? Don't keep your mouth shut. Take your $1,200, pay your bills, and keep talking, right? The system that they have given you that we are stuck with is one in which we get screwed by the government and they give us $1,200. I got it. Take the money. Pay your bills. Then let's change the system. Let's change the system to where you don't need your $1,200. And when that's the system, don't take the money. You won't need it. Now, some of you out there watching, listening, you're probably doing well. Life's good for you. You don't need your $1,200. No worries. If you want to protest and give it away, if that's where you are in life and you can do that, awesome, good for you. There are literally thousands of local charities that would happily take your $1,200. And if you're going to post it online, you want to protest, please, if that's where you are in life and you can do that, that's amazing. If you're not and you need your $1,200, keep your money, pay your bills. That's all I'm saying. Don't even worry about it at all. Please do that. Yes. All right. I'm very proud my daughter was watching the Sharpe Way when I wasn't home. Look at that. See? We're rocking and rolling. We are rocking and rolling. I love that. Would you suggest that New York State abolish the authorities who are not answerable to the public? Yes and no. I want to be a little clearer on this. He's talking about things like the boards that pop up, the committees and the commissions and all those things, right? And what happens in New York State is they decide, hey, here's this rule, and if the legislation doesn't stop it, it becomes a law. That's how New York State works. I don't know if your state works that way. That's how New York State works. Frank, I got it. Yes. However, there's a however here. When you dump all these authorities, and you should, absolutely, you have to make it clear who does have the authority. That's all I'm saying. So yes, with the caveat of, okay, now how do we handle this? I don't want this to get thrown into, now the governor has more power. And that's my concern. My concern is we get rid of authorities and we gain a king. So as long as we don't gain a king, I'm in. So let's get rid of them and not gain a king. So it's a small caveat, but yes. So I made a difficult choice. Stay home, lose my place to live. Yes. Or go to work and risk dying. I went to work. I get it. I get it. As a result, I haven't seen my kid in person for over a month. Aubrey, this is what I was talking about. When someone asked me, how does the libertarian fix this? What you just said. I was talking about local communities, churches, VFWs, Knights of Columbus. Why in the world do we have Department of Building regulations that stop them from having large areas where people can sleep and stay and play? Why wouldn't they have that? A lot of people don't want to go home, right? Because they have people who they don't want to infect. Well, where are they going to stay? How about staying there? Or the reverse. Have it where those where people stay. Or have the reverse. Have a situation where people can come meet. Plexiglass, mask, whatever. So you can play with your kid. So you can spend time with your kid. Why not create that? Maybe you don't have those facilities in your own home. Maybe you can't afford it. Maybe you don't have that kind of cash to do that. But could a church or a VFW? Knights of Columbus? American Legion? Yeah, they've got space. They have a building. They can't create an environment where parents who are worried they're at risk can come and see their kids. Maybe play with masks on, or maybe plexiglass or something. Just come see your kid, whatever. That could have happened if I was governor. That could have happened because I'm sure that's an issue. I know lots of people are doing that. Not just that, but with the family court. Same thing. We got people now who are alienating the other parent. That's happening too. 100%. Thank you for that. I appreciate you sharing that. That's amazing. Thank you. So, You have my vote. Thank you. I appreciate that completely. Yes, I appreciate it. Thank you. So thank you on nuclear jobs from upstate New York. Yeah, why not? Absolutely. A lot of people are suffering upstate New York. A lot of people are. Let's get some good jobs up there. Why wouldn't you? Nuclear would be amazing. You'd get talented people who are there not leaving, right? A lot of people in upstate New York, people don't realize upstate New York has some amazing colleges and has some very savvy people who are graduating from these great colleges. And what's happening? They're leaving. They're not staying. So the best of our talent packing up and leaving. What's going on? Come on now. I want them to stay. Stay with your families. Stay with your friends. Well, if there's a cool nuclear tech job, you stay. If there's cool marketing jobs in the tech sector, you stay. We have to build out that environment so people stay. They're getting educated in New York and leaving. Terrible idea. Absolutely terrible. Yes. All right. Got a real question. McDonald's, Burger King, Taco Bell, or Arby's? Well, the funny part is, some of you may not know this, I've been on a keto lifestyle for about 9 years, 10 years now. So I rarely eat carbs. I usually eat mostly vegetables and meat, most stuff that I eat, water and coffee. So it's rare that I eat carbs, no bread. It's how I stay so thin. No bread, no rice, no sugar, none of that stuff. Here or there, but very rarely, just very rare. The few times that I will go and do that, I prefer McDonald's fries, Burger King burgers, love Taco Bell, rarely eat at Arby's. So if I have to pick one of those three, I will usually pick Taco Bell. But if I go to McDonald's, I'm gonna get chicken McNuggets probably and fries because I'm not a big fan of the burgers. If I'm going to Burger King, I'm probably getting a burger because I like burgers. So I hope that answers your question. So, all right. So my 8-year-old daughter, Alana, wanted to say hi. Hi, Alana. How you doing? My daughter, actually, I have two. One will be 16 next month, and one will be 10 next month. So on my way. There we go. So yes. And thank you. I can build one. Excellent. Good. How do we support the Sharpe Way? Here's how you support the Sharpe Way, Joe. Like, comment, share. Go to all my pages, and when you go to my pages, like them. Go to the Sharpe Way YouTube page. Click. Go to the Sharpe Way Facebook page. Click. Go to the Sharpe Way Twitter. Click. This matters. More people see it. If you've got the cash, I love it. If you do, head over to patreon.com/SharpeWay. Throw 20, 40 bucks, 50 bucks, 10 bucks, whatever you got. Throw me a little bit. It helps. If you don't have the cash, I get it. A lot of people are struggling now. I get it. But like, comment, share, that's free. Do that. It helps tremendously. Yes, I agree. It'd be better if I were governor. 100%. I agree. Too bad not enough people actually did that. So on a completely unrelated subject, have you tried Duolingo, Little Green Bird? I have, Michael. Thank you. Yes, I have. I have done it to German, Spanish, and Greek, I think. I did those three. So yes, a little bit of each. Absolutely. So Pete likes Arby's. I'm not an Arby's guy. Yes. All right. This is the hardest part, Shelly. You're totally correct. Talented youth have been our largest export for decades. I wish that wasn't true, but it so is. And I got to tell you something, guys. I'm going to give you a little bit of bad news, but there may be some good news at the end. New York is not going to recover anywhere near what it was. I mean, it was already bad. It's only going to be worse. And the way I say that, the reason why I say it is New York City can't recover. Not the way it was. People aren't going to be coming back into the city like they used to. They just aren't. You're going to see that. And when people don't come back into the city, they're going to start moving away. The reason to live in New York City, I know, I live in New York City, is because of the opportunity here. Big business here, big dollars here, big companies here. Absolutely. This is a big deal. 100%. It's why people live in New York City. When this goes away, and that doesn't exist anymore because people don't need the talent here anymore. They can get it someplace else, or they can get it, through Zoom or through something else. When that happens, they're not going to return. If New York City doesn't return, this is a huge engine for New York City, for New York State, which means New York State's not going to recover. And New York State was already in trouble. So we already had 100,000 people leaving every single year. Now we're going to have more, 200,000, 300,000 leaving every year. We packing them and going. All the people losing all their homes and houses, rent too high, losing jobs, nothing here. It's going to get worse. If I can't fix it in 2023, what are we doing? It's going to be a ghost town, the whole state. So a lot of sad news for New York State, New York City. However, the hope is that this has taken so much of a toll on people, they actually want to change. They actually want to change. That is my hope, right? Alan, thank you for bringing this up. Yes. Now, to be clear, now, when we need business more than anything else, Cuomo says, let me destroy the vaping industry. When we need industry and work and jobs more than ever, let me destroy the vaping industry. Wow. How backward, and this guy has no idea what business is about. No idea. The vaping industry is literally an entrepreneurial industry full of people who start their own stores, people who create their own products in their own homes and sell them in stores. It at least minimum 2,000 jobs. It's probably more. It's probably more than that. There's what, 600-700 vape shops in New York State? All gonna be going away. He's gonna destroy an industry. He's gonna lose jobs and money and entrepreneurial spirit. And the people aren't gonna stop vaping. They're either gonna get black market vaping, which is why the people died. So he's gonna get more people to die, or they're going to leave the state and vape someplace else and bring their money and their jobs and their entrepreneurial spirit someplace else. Wow, was this man backward? And it's all because he doesn't get it. He's never had a job in his life. He only knows government. There's nothing else. Absolutely. Thank you, Alan, for bringing this up. It's completely true. Totally right. Yes, I know. Yes, people used to commute 2 hours for the money, because you'd make double the salary. So people would literally commute 2 hours because you would double your salary. So they would do it. But when that stops, they're not going to commute anymore. Or if I don't have to, why would I'm thinking myself, right? I was in a subway almost every day, right? So now, why would I go back in the subway again? I don't need to. I'll stay here instead. I'm not going to go back in. And if I'm going to be here, why do I even live in New York City? I could do this from Long Island, upstate New York, Jersey, West Virginia, Tennessee, any place. I could just keep doing it. So anyway, guys, I want to say thank you so much for all the time you guys gave me. I really appreciate it. As always, please like, comment, and share. It's amazing. But more important, go to where I talked about. Go to my Facebook page. Please like it on Facebook on the Sharpe Way, not just Larry Sharpe Libertarian. Please go to YouTube, subscribe, click the bell for notifications. It matters so you know it's coming up. Also over to Sharpe Way Twitter. It does matter. If you've got some cash, head over to patreon.com/SharpeWay. Please do that if you've got some cash. Throw me 10, 15, 20 bucks if you can do it. If you're not in that spot, I get it. It's free. Twitter's free. YouTube's free. Facebook's free. Help me out, guys. I appreciate it. I could use it. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate all you've done. Thank you for the 2 hours you gave me. I will see you guys tomorrow right here on the Sharpe Way.